All right, all right. I'm gonna get us a good round table going in just a few. Alrighty, alrighty, alrighty. It's the holidays, y'all. I'm gonna have my holiday background up. Y'all come on in. Y'all tap, tap, tap the screen as you come in. We will be doing a round table today with some candidates that are running for office, different offices in 2026. So we're gonna, get them in here and have a good conversation, talking about current events and things that us Americans need in these here United States. So let's go. Got my I'll vote count shirt on. Let me see if I can see. Ooh. Your voice is your power. It is. So come on in, take a seat. As soon as we get some candidates up in here, we will get started. Let me make sure I got my stuff turned on. All right. Welcome in. Tap, tap, tap. Get us on the FYP page. Y'all come in, send your daily heart me up here. And we get to going soon. I hope everyone is having a good Sunday. I'm not. My football team is not doing so well, so poo on them. All right, come on in, everybody. Come on in. Tap, tap, tap that screen. Let's get these numbers up so we can get on the FYP page. People need to be listening to this. Folks all around TikTok, discussing the things that are happening with our government right now. And this is really what we need to be talking about. All right, share it out. Tap, tap, tap the screen. Share it out. Put it on your story. Happy Sunday, Jazz. Hello, Mr. Alberti.
Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to have you back to our vote counts.
Thanks for having me back.
All right. We're gonna get a couple of more folks up in here. We're gonna start a nice little conversation happening.
Sounds great.
Hmm. Um, how are things going in California?
Good. It's a nice weather day. I saw somebody in New York posting about their snow earlier, and I thought we don't really do that out here.
Yeah, I'm in the DC area, so we had snow on Friday. Wasn't anything major, but we got snow.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to have.
Yes. So it's a good thing and a bad thing. I have a friend here who is from Louisiana,
Oh,
and he's like, I don't like this. I don't like this cold. I was like, yeah, when you've been living all your life in Louisiana, this is a different cold.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I miss the snow more than I miss the cold, I think. Right? Like seeing the snow, having the snow is really nice. I'm sure my kids would love it, but I'm good without the cold.
100% agree. If I can have the snow without the cold, I will take it all day.
Right?
Maybe we're living somewhere like California and we just get the fake snow.
Well, we get to look up at some of the mountains nearby and see snow. That's usually the closest we get.
Okay. Uh, um, We had another young man on the other night who was running for governor of California
George.
too.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
stopped by. You did that on Friday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I wanted to make sure I gave George some support. He is one of the other under media covered candidates that's running right now, and he's a good guy.
And we were debating on how many people are in the running for governor of California.
It is almost 70 right now. It's like 67. There have been a couple people that dropped out, which brought it back down before it hit 70. But yeah, it is a lot.
Wow. I guess everyone feels like they can run the biggest state in our union. The
Apparently,
I
yeah.
mean, like that's a lot of pressure.
It can be. I think the biggest struggle I've run into, not being a politician as I started out this process, is realizing how exclusive it is. So even with the interviews, the forums, or the polling, they're only really looking at Republican and Democratic candidates that have a large amount of monies. They won't even show other Republican and Democrat runners that don't have money. Right, like they've pretty much exclusively listed it to about 8 to 12 people, and that's really all they're covering.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
like
and
you said, there are 67 people wanting this position, and
yeah,
you just say, "Oh, we just gonna focus on these 8." Like,
yeah,
have just do a story on that. That 60 plus people want to um help your state be a better state.
and
Your choices are endless.
yeah, except you don't get to hear about any of them, or at least not anybody that they don't want you to hear about is the thing. So that's why, like with stuff like George's, I've met with a couple of the other candidates that are running. We've got a little chat group going. I mean, so we take the time to make sure we're sharing stuff and try to help each other's campaigns as much as possible, which I think is a great process, right? Like it's showing what government officials really should be doing, is working with each other to get elected on top of working with each other when they're elected. So it is.
And y'all have a jungle open primary, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
the open primary basically takes the best two, and then those two finish off in the general a few months later.
And
So,
that could be a Democrat versus a Democrat in the final.
oh
Oh,
yeah,
okay. All
yeah,
right. I hadn't realized that, but um I guess when it comes to what we say about state rights, those are some of the things we don't really think about. We talk about a lot of all the other things, but we don't really think about how, elections are run. And
right.
do you think that's a good thing that, we're still leaving the election process or even anything up to the states? Like, should that not be a federal?
I think.
I
Oh,
mean, or at least when we're talking about running for or the federal election,
right.
that should be a federal standard. But yes, each state could have their own rules when it comes to their governor or their mayors or whatever, right?
Well, and I think that is the way it works. The federal setup is essentially the same for all the states as far as the senators and the House representatives. They have to follow federal guidelines
Hmm.
for filing, and then like for my position, it is a state guideline, which is different than some other states, which makes it a little weird. So you can't really do cross referencing to all the 50 states. You kind of got to figure out what your state does and then run their specific program. So like an interesting thing for me, which maybe I should have known this at 53, but I didn't, is the lieutenant governor runs completely separate from the governor, which was
Hmm.
an interesting learn for me. I was like, oh, that's weird. Your person that's backing you up in charge isn't somebody you selected when you get there, which is really
Right.
interesting.
That I know that I find that dynamic to be amazing because it's like, right, like it's potential that someone that is supposed to be my right hand
Right.
could be sabotaging me at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, which is a little weird, right? Like, because anytime you're leaving the state or going to do other stuff as the governor, you're leaving the lieutenant governor in charge. And if they don't really
I'm gonna have
vibe
to
the
look
same
into that.
direction, yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into that, or where that idea came from, because it just doesn't make sense to me that two opposite people could actually be
End up running
um
with each other.
end
Yeah.
up working with each other or whatever. I'm sure in the beginning it had some sort of um something to do with making sure everyone was represented, you know, or
Well,
everyone
and
had a voice.
having some checks and balances to the person that
Hmm.
got voted
Hmm.
in, right? So,
But now, yeah, no, I'm gonna need to know who my lieutenant governor is. But make sure we on the same page, because
yeah,
otherwise, this is not going to go so well.
right. Well, and what I think is even weirder is there hasn't seemed to be, and I've put enough of this information out there, reciprocal want to at least run together or coordinated campaigns, right? Like, so you're not seeing any lieutenant governor candidates coordinate with other candidates that are running so that
For
they're
governor,
supporting each
yeah,
other in that. So, like, hey, you elect me as governor, you elect me as lieutenant governor. They are almost entirely running completely separate. Like, they don't care who ends up partnered, which I think would be really weird. Um,
and who's the current lieutenant governor for California?
it is Eleni Koulianakis, who was actually running for governor. She had put her bid in the hat and then pulled it back about 3 months ago. So
Okay. And is she a Democrat?
she is a Democrat. Yeah.
Okay, so it was a Democratic governor and a
Hmm.
Democratic lieutenant governor, but even still, they still may not both be on the same page.
True. True.
So that's kind of crazy.
It
But
is.
that's California for you. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's been an interesting race for sure so far.
California, outside of Illinois,
Hmm.
California has probably been the state I'm most interested in. It seems to be the most controversial state in our union right now.
Right.
Everything, just about everything that everyone says they have a problem with, they point to California being that state that does those things.
Right.
And it's like, would y'all let California do California? Like, they're not doing this stuff in Minnesota or Iowa
Right. We're
or
not forcing it on
Utah. Why
anybody
y'all?
else. We're
No,
just trying to do our thing.
and let them do their thing. And
Yeah.
then you holler state rights, and but I don't, not that state. That state don't get to do whatever they want to do. They got to live by our rules.
It does feel like the spotlight sometimes restricts you almost as much as it puts you out there.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, West Coast, keep doing your thing. I promise you, y'all are the most progressive people in these here United States, and I'm all for it. So West Coast, keep doing your thing.
I definitely feel we've got a loud progressive audience, but there are a lot of conservatives still sitting in the different parts of California for sure. I mean, Chad Bianco right now is the Republican candidate, and he's in the lead. Um, amongst all what I love is amongst all the people that are actually even polled about, because they don't ask about any of our names in the polls either. They offer up the top 8 to 12 like I mentioned before, and you have to know the name of your candidate to write them in even to the polling to get them even represented, which if you've seen Butch Green or I'm sorry, Butch Ware is running for the Green Party out here in California for governor as well. And I've talked to him personally. He's a really great guy. He's got some good ideas working for the Green Party, but he's not on those. But he can poll because enough people know his name that they're writing him in. So he still shows up occasionally on the polls. But
Mm.
they're typically not showing even a party covered candidate that just isn't a Republican or Democratic Party covered candidate. So
Yeah, I when prior to Trump's first term,
mhm.
I hadn't realized how red Florida was. Okay, like I'm 48, so I want to say I voted for Clinton in his second term, but I might be wrong on that. I might not have voted until Al Gore.
Okay.
But with the whole Al Gore thing, I guess I even then I wasn't as into politics, but I was thinking that the reason why that turned out that way was because of the whole Jeb Bush thing and everything. That's why that was red or whatever, right? And like I said, it wasn't until because everybody voted for Barack, so that wasn't a problem, right?
Right.
So it wasn't until Trump's first term that I realized how red Florida was. And it didn't make sense to me. I was thinking that these are the same type of people that's on the West Coast. Like, you live by the water. You are sunny people, okay? You should be happy people.
Should
Why
be.
are you red? You should be happy people in Florida. And I guess I was just also more familiar with Orlando and Miami, which are both very blue,
Right.
right? So when it went red, I went, wait, what? Why is Florida red? And now my eyes are wide open about Florida.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
what?
you gotta watch for it. There are a lot of states that could be closer to another color if we're not careful.
Yeah. So I think I think we have more purple states going on right now than anything.
Right.
Right. I haven't met so many independents since this election. Then in all my life, you was kind of one or the other, and there was a few independents people here and there, but I mean, no one wants to be labeled anymore with one or the other, because then you are they pigeonhole you into these so-called ideologies that each of
Yep.
them supposed to have, right? And it's like, well, I don't agree with all of this, and I don't agree with all of that, so I guess I'm an independent.
Yep.
So it's a lot of independence coming out right now, and this is going to be interesting coming up this next term of how we see this play
Well,
out.
I think you'll have a lot more people voting for what they believe in versus voting for the side that they've always sided with. And I think that's been a big eye-opening thing. We had talked about this I want to say a month ago. Like, I blame Obama for that entire process, and not the way people assume, right? Like,
Right.
I think a good part of this country saw a black president get elected and do great, and got really nervous and really scared, and have now pushed their counter agenda
Yes.
super hard, like harder than they've
Yes.
ever pushed, because they don't want that to happen again, right? Like, because it's so scary a thought for them, that they have to make sure that it can't. And I think that's where we're at right now, right? We're at the point where the people that don't believe in that would elect another colored president, of any color, right? Like, any person of color could
Yeah.
get that spot from regular America. Then those people are now realizing that there are enough of the people that only want white presidents out there, that it's a little scary, right? Like, it's a little, they could flip my state, and then all of a sudden my state is not the state I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that message is what's coming about now, which is why a lot of people that can't decide whether it's the blue or red side that is actually the right one for them is just saying, well, I'd like to do something, but I don't want to be either part of this craziness.
Right.
I want to work on real things again and be in the middle. And
Absolutely.
I think that's where all the independents are coming from.
And yeah, and I think the to your point that the real fear of the Democratic Party is that it's becoming very diverse. I mean, people from all over the place are electing representatives that are not white anymore,
Right.
and so it's like, um, what are they doing over there? They're changing our country here. What are they doing? So that is I think the real fear of the
Oh yeah.
progression that they don't like. It don't have nothing to do with, T people or ABs or any of this other foolishness that they talk about. It's that
Right.
they are allowing people into the club that were not supposed to be in the club.
Exactly, right? And that's the fear. And that's why it seems so urgent, right? Like, everybody asks, why is it so aggressive? I can't tell you how many times on any of my lives where MAGA is yelling at me and saying, well, you don't want ICE. No, I do want ICE. I would like an ICE that isn't like this. This is an aggressive targeting agency now. ICE before was doing their job. So, you can throw back, well, Obama still got rid of people. Yes, the people we're supposed to. The people that, based on evidence, we decided you're not supposed to be here and you got to go. We didn't beat them up first and then check to see if they were supposed to be here and then decide, right? Like, and that's a different mentality. It's a different approach, and it's a much more dangerous and aggressive approach. So this isn't about the rules. This is about how we're using the rules. I think that's
absolutely. That's what we were talking about that yesterday too. That while ICE has a position, and we always respected that position of getting rid of the people the immigrants that have come here and cause problems. They got to go. Right. If you have gone and seen a immigration, gone to an immigration court and they said, I'm sorry, but you don't exactly qualify for asylum, so you need to go. And they don't. you have to, ICE is coming to get you.
Right.
So there is a place for it. But like you said, this was not it.
No.
This was not the vision at all of what's happening right now.
Right.
Mr. Albertini, you said you have a little, group that y'all have a group text or something. Send a little message to them. See if they want to come through, have some conversation with us. Share, see if you can share our vote counts in the message, and see if they want to come through and talk. There's supposed to be a couple other people coming, but they have not shown up yet, so I'm not sure exactly.
Sure, give me a sec. Let me modify this here.
Well, while he's doing that, y'all tap that screen. Y'all share this out to people. And we have a gift goal up here. We have a goal up top here that you all can contribute to. We are going to get a couple of more candidates on here so we can have a nice conversation and talk about how the candidates of the 2026 midterms want to, reshape Congress, reshape government altogether. So we are, I'm looking forward to having this conversation with some candidates and see exactly how, we want to shake up this government, shake up our union so that it functions for the people. That's what we want to do. We want to talk about making this thing work. I've heard people say, let's just get rid of government. They don't want government, but we need government. We need government. The government helps every country run. They facilitate it. So the idea of no government is absolutely tyrannical, and no. So, but we just need the right people. It's not necessarily the system. It's the people running the system. It's the people within the system that could contaminate the system. So if we get the right people in the right places, things can flow and function much better. So that is the goal today and every day, is to have these conversations and make sure we are putting the right people in the right places.
I think that's such a big message. We've been pushing the, somebody comes onto your stream, follows your stream, and is like, oh, I'm going to vote for you. My biggest push is don't vote for me because you found me on TikTok, right? Like, go do some research on me first. Please don't just throw your vote this way, because if you're not choosing what I believe in, then you could be destroying your own livelihood, right? Like, so please look up these candidates, look at what they've done in the past. That's a big one, right? Like, don't just look at what they're promising you right now. Go and look at what they've done in the past. Have they voted for things you think they should have? Have they turned down the things you think they should have said yes on? Those are important things that we're not doing a great job as American citizens following through on saying, hey, you know what? You did a terrible job and you're not going to do that job for me again. I'm going to vote for somebody different. Lots of times we just keep revoting the same people back in again. Well, they didn't screw anything up that I'm aware of, so I'll let them go again.
Absolutely. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to send some invites out too. Mm-hmm. There we go. There we go. I for my search I just put four like FOR because everyone is like such and such for for
It
this
does.
for that.
It does end up making a lot of accounts look the same. Just a last name different, or a state that's different, or a
Yep.
county that's different. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna send those out there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so like, but for what we're trying to do here at OVC, like I said, we platform you going running for governor of California, but we also platform George, who is running for governor of California. So it's so that you can make an informed decision on who you want to be the governor of California. So it's not just like, yeah, I saw this guy, he's not this person, so I'm voting for him. No.
Right.
Why would you why? What did he do? Why is he special? You don't know?
Yeah.
You don't even know where he comes from?
Why would you vote for him? Yeah.
Where did he
I
grow
mean,
up? Let me ask you this real quick though.
shoot, go for it.
How do you feel about people who run for pretty much anything in a state that they did not grow up in?
Well, I mean, technically by the rules for some states, it's only living there a certain number of years before you have to apply. So if you didn't, I wasn't born in California. I was born in New York. But I've been in California long enough to where I
Right.
qualify for running for governor now. And I've been out here since I was 20. So, I mean, a good 30 years or so. But I think as long as they're dedicated to the location that they're running for, I don't think it's a problem. And as long as they still qualify, I think there's got to be a true investment in that area. So if there isn't, then I think the candidate would become blatantly obvious when they were in office the first time that they weren't doing justice to the people that they
Right.
were supposed to be.
Trying to get the sun out my camera.
Well,
Welcome to the panel, Mr. Clyde. How are you doing today? We just spoke to Mr. Clyde the other day, so
there he is.
Hey,
yes,
how are you? How's it
I love
going?
this new. I love
Good.
this new design going on where we got these see-through sunroofs. I love or roofs. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Um,
How are
and
you
Mr.
all?
Clyde, am I mistaken?
Good.
You aren't born and raised in the state that you're running for, right?
That is correct. I am not. I've been here for 13 years. Well, next month will be 13 years. But
Okay.
I was born in Virginia, actually. Left there when I was 17 when I joined the Army. So I've been all over the world a few times. But I've been here in
So
Alabama for 13
yeah. So
years.
do you
Next
agree
month.
with Mr. Albertini that you don't have to grow up in that state, that district, that area to really stand for the people there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think if you have a heart for the people where you are and you've been there and you've met the qualifications, I think you have every right to run for office. And in many cases, just because you grew up there doesn't mean you have a heart for the people or that you mean the people that are in that area the best, right? So I think people who have lived in other places, who have experienced other things, also bring another added advantage of bringing some insight to that area or whatever. So a lot of times people aren't receptive to it from someone who wasn't born there, but
Mhm.
uh, I firmly agree with Albert
Yeah.
there. I firmly agree.
Clyde sounds like a firm believer in DIE, which is amazing, right? Like you want people that maybe haven't lived in your state their whole life so that they can give differing opinions too. That
Oh,
is a great
absolutely.
point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And that's what, look, if y'all didn't catch that, I'm with Mr. Albertini. We're not calling it the DEI anymore. We're going to change the letters all the way around. Cause then what? We still talking about the same thing. We talk
We are
about equity. We're talking about the
diversity and
diversity.
inclusion.
Thank you. I kept
Yeah,
wanting to say division. We're talking about
and
diversity and
diversity.
we're talking about inclusion. Okay,
That's
so
right.
I don't
That's
care how you put them, but that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, we still bringing in some folks up in here. But I'm gonna get started with you.
Oop.
I'm sorry, I was trying to move my screen to see if we got anyone else in right now. Doesn't look like it yet, but we were talking about ICE earlier, or the cube people. That's what I'm gonna call them. I don't want to TikTok to be. We were talking about the cube people, and I know that you're in Alabama, you're in California, and if I'm not mistaken, both have very high populations of immigrants.
We do.
So, how do you think that the local or the state police force should be working with them to actually do, as me and Mr. Albertini was talking about earlier, that ICE does have a job. They have a reason to be in function, and there needs to be some sort of cooperation. How do you feel like that should look? And I'm gonna start with you, Mr. Clyde. How do you think that should look?
Well, thank you for starting with me because I probably won't be able to be on here much longer. I'm waiting for my wife to come back out of this building. So, so so I think there needs to be a level of cooperation, obviously, between the agencies, but also what we see now is nothing is unprecedented. As far as the mask and the not being able to show. There is a place. There is a place for them. There's a need for them in a certain extent. But what we see right now is an abuse of power in the way that they're and we're only 2 hours from New Orleans. So right now there's a large number of them in New Orleans, right? So I see that every day too. I see and hear about it every day. Here in Alabama, and it's there's a big agriculture area. There's also a lot of construction, right? So there's a housing boom where we are. We live near the beach here in Alabama, so we live near on the Gulf Coast. There's a housing boom. There's ag, and they're really targeting. They're targeting the businesses that really are helping the area grow here. And if you're undocumented, right? I think we need comprehensive legislature or laws to help people to get to become documented. I have a friend who's used to work for DOJ and says, "Oh, there is a clear path." I don't believe there's a clear path. I don't believe the path is. I think it's clear as mud, right? I think there are many things that need to be fixed as far as being able to have a clear path. So they are needed to a certain extent. I don't know if you all saw what happened in my home state of Virginia maybe 2 weeks ago when ICE detained a sailor in uniform and said, "I don't believe that you're an American citizen." The sailor presented his ID card. The sailor presented his ID card, and he still detained that sailor until someone bought him his passport. He said that's not good enough. 2 miles away from the naval base. So when you have those type of things happening, we need to reel that in, right? We need to reel that in. We need to make sure that that they're doing the right things, but there's also human decency, right? There's also giving people due process. Right now, We're not doing due process like we're supposed to. We're just taking that off the table. So if you're a veteran and you don't, and then what happened to that sailor doesn't make you mad, I question what where your
Yeah.
mindset is right now.
Mhm.
If you're a veteran and you're upset, and you're not upset that that sailor in uniform was detained until someone brought his passport to him, there's a major issue. So again, that's a long answer to say I agree that they have a mission, but I also agree that they're going about it the wrong way, and we are as a country right now going about what that mission is in the wrong way. So we need to fix that. We need to fix that.
Absolutely. Mr. Sa, what do you think? How do we work with them without giving them this okay to violate people's rights?
Well, I think what we would do for California is we would set up specific liaisons with them. So we would assign them officers that would be policing the ICE agents. So the setup I would do is any actions that are going on in California, you would have to register ahead of time. We're not trying to stop you from going after illegal immigrants, but you have to then allow us to patrol with you and document and process any violations you do. So if you break the law while you're doing your ICE crimes, I mean, we know your manual, right? Like, it's not like we haven't seen your training documents and what your processes are and what you actually have to follow as laws. And if you violate any of those, well, then the police would have the capability to arrest you, document the evidence, and bring you in. And if that deters you from being an ICE agent for that day, that's too bad. But you still have to follow the laws. So police here in California would begin policing ICE just as they police citizens. If you're going to be living or acting in this state, then you follow the laws of this state. That would be the first thing that we would start up. The other thing that I would love to do is almost initially the first 3 or 4 weeks in for California, when ICE started to ramp up its activities, the city of Glendale was the first city to actually say, you know what? We no longer want to keep our contract with ICE if this is what you're going to be utilizing it for, and they canceled their contract. I think any state organization that wants to look for other means to make finances and wants to cancel their ICE contracts, the state of California can absolutely find other uses for those buildings that they're renting to ICE right now. And ICE will have to find other vendors than the states or the cities to occupy their space, at least in
Absolutely.
California.
That sounds like a great plan. That yes, we have ICE, but and someone said that the day I think too yesterday about how that ICE doesn't have any oversight, or they really have no one that they have to answer to.
Exactly.
Um, so they can be rogue as they want, so to speak. And when you have someone who is in power and is encouraging that, that makes it even more dangerous. So,
Yep.
I was reading the comments. Sorry, we had another candidate, Mr. Jay Morris, a young guy who's running for office, and So this is my next topic, right? So, we was also having a discussion within OVC about experience. And you were saying, Ms. Albertini, that, look up what they've done before, what they've done previously, what's their record. But how does that work for people who haven't done anything in politics at all? What information can they gather from those people that can lend to how they will function in that position? Because like I said, if I've never ran for anything, I've never done anything in politics, I mean, what do you have to go off of? What record do I have that will show what I can do for, the community?
Sure. I think that's a great question because it's one I've been dealing with, obviously, is no experience politically before this. I think it's a couple things. The first one is look at what they do for a living, right? Make sure that isn't just grounded in money only. I've been a state employee for the last 27 years in California. I've put a lot of time and effort back into this state already. So that is one of the things that I hope would encourage people to believe that I would take the same time and effort in a political aspect. But I think the other thing is you need to look at their platform and what they're promising and how over the top is that, or how repetitive is it to other past candidates who have run before promising the same type of stuff and then not delivering. Because if they're promising you too much, or if they're promising you something that a career politician that has been doing it for 20 years is promising, and neither of those are capable of being completed, then you might want to look at who's being more reasonable with it.
Yes, absolutely. So now, Mr. Clyde, I see you went on there. I'm assuming wifey then came to the car.
That's what I thought. I thought that's a quick pause to say, hi, honey, I'm on the camera.
Yeah. But yes, I would agree that that would be a couple of ways to see what they do for a living. We have a candidate running right now, Mr. Bernard Taylor. You know, he's a firefighter, you know, and like, I mean, how else can you serve the community than in that type of public service, right? So when you see someone's a firefighter, or they are, they're an attorney, right? That's important. That means they kind of familiar with laws. And that would be a great thing to be in Congress, because you got or if you're running for a judicial seat in your state or something like that helps, instead of just some person that decides they want to be head of commissions. If you was an accountant, you know,
Right.
like that would be great too. That means you know how to manage money. So affordability is a real issue.
Somebody
So
mentioned
yeah,
it.
yeah, it is. Well, no, they were agreeing with the president that it's a hoax.
That affordability is a hoax. Well,
Yeah,
you know,
that's what the president said. So
wow.
um,
The president's also said that he'd make things more affordable again. If you go to many of his interviews before he became president for the second time, affordability was a word he used a lot.
yes, it was. And now, because a Democrat is actually putting action to words, it's now a hoax. Like, and I still don't understand what that means. Like, are you saying that nothing will ever be affordable, or the fact that they're trying to make things affordable is a hoax? I'm not clear. I'm not clear. George, welcome back.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. We just having a nice little conversation and discussion going on about current topics and issues going on in these here United States.
Yeah, it's been sounding great. How you doing, Jesse?
I'm good, George. How are you doing, man?
Very good. I just kind of
Yes.
woke up, honestly. I had a late night.
You know what? That's get it out now, okay? Because if you become governor, you can't have these your late nights gonna be for something else, sir. Okay.
It was. I was working. Don't worry. It wasn't for parties.
It wasn't a party. It wasn't partying. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Then you already in the habit of working late nights, huh?
Yeah. I usually work until I pass out.
Well, that's good. We need people in leadership like that will work until they can't work no more.
Yeah,
That
I
is
think so too.
awesome. So let's talk a little bit about geopolitics. Okay. Right now, I feel like that the people who voted for Donald Trump voted him in to get us out of all of these international things, right? At least that's what I heard. That's what they wanted him to stop putting money into other countries, and backing them, or like I said, at least even being in their business. Yet somehow it seems like we're in everybody's business right now. How do you feel minus the current administration, any administration, what do you feel like our percentage or amount of influence in international politics, or just with different countries? How do you feel like that should be? How that should look? And I'm gonna start with George because you've been talking, Jesse. You've been talking.
Um, yeah, I think that our main focus with other countries needs to really be like bringing their people here. Like I know in like South Korea and in other parts of Asia, they have really advanced engineers that are doing really crazy stuff with space tech. And I want them to come to California and do it here. And so we need to be doing programs and maybe even doing some type of like propaganda over there, like California is open, like come to California, we'll help you like have your business here. And also, yeah, we need to be flexing. We have partnerships with countries like Brazil and I think it's South Africa about fighting fire and like doing research on firefighting, and we need to be making sure that we're coordinating with those really well, and yeah, and also when it comes to the agriculture, a lot of the South American countries, they have not been remediating their soil from when we had lead in our gasoline, and so some things like bananas actually have like a small amounts of lead inside. And so I'd like to target their farmers and bring them over here and figure out how we can grow stuff over in California so our fruits are safe for everybody, no matter how old you are. So that's kind of the scale that I think we should be getting involved in geopolitics. Is we need to be like mainly like bringing people over to California because um, yeah, we really have a deficit. People like to say we don't have a deficit of people in California, but we do, and we're on track to lose 5 congressional seats. So, and it's all going to the South, those seats. So it's really important that we focus on bringing people in. And if there's something crazy going on in some other country, we should be like, hey, that's fine. Just come to California, yo. It's great here in California. You won't be in danger here, which a lot of people already think, but we need to make sure that we're making, pathways that they feel secure. And because the federal government hasn't been helping with that, and that's for that specific reason, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how easy it'd be for them to get here now, but I hear you. That sounds like a great idea. I didn't realize that California was losing citizens.
Where our population is basically stagnant and everyone else's is growing, especially in the South. So we're gaining, we're losing, but we actually are losing a lot. It's the affordability. People can't afford to live
I
here.
was going to
So
say that. I think that had more to do with it, that it's expensive to live in California, and it's not so expensive to live in the South.
yeah,
So
yeah, so we got to fix
you
that as
got
well.
your good and then your bad. So what do you think, Mr. Jesse? How should our foreign relations look?
Well, I think we've burnt a lot of bridges recently. I mean, at least this past year with our foreign nations. I think we need to reestablish those bridges and put them back. Specifically, Canada and Mexico are bordering countries that have always been our allies. We need to repair some of that damage. In addition, we need to continue to be part of the NATO setup, both for the environmental committees. I know we stepped away from I forget what it's called. It's something 30, but we've stepped away from a lot of our responsibilities as being the United States, and a big push of political fairness and balance in the world, which I realize sometimes our government isn't actually putting that forward. It's doing supplemented plans behind the scenes for other governments, either putting some in power or taking some out of power. I think we need to be very careful about that. And I think we really need to heal a lot of the relationships we've been putting pressure on, specifically for California, right? Like, as George said, it's not about just taking residents. When we had the wildfires just this last summer, we have places from other countries fly in and help us, send firefighters to help us. This is because we have good relations with those places. I think that's what we should be doing for all of American states, is making sure that things that they need that can't come from the United States or can come from the United States but need to be supplemented, we should be making good relationships with other countries to make sure that we can get those things for America. And I think in general, I just don't like the idea of us pushing as a geopolitical thing forward is drill, baby, drill, or more gas. We know the rest of the world is trying to get away from that. We have been trying to get away from that as California. And I think as an overall, as the United States, it's not a benefit for us to push more gas and oil. Again, I'm not saying take them away. I'm just saying that shouldn't be our direction for the future.
Well, someone said to me yesterday that if the countries with the oil are willing to share that oil, make the deals to, have someone else have some control over it. Why not us? Why not us?
It's a good point.
I mean, so I said, and I definitely agree, but I said the way that this current administration is doing it seemed like bullying, and that's not the way to go about it. That's all I'm saying. It's not the way. And that's where we at. So I want to move this to a new topic.
Okay.
And it's going to be about the race. Okay. Because I'm speaking to two African American people. So I'm curious of what your thoughts are. Someone in the comments asked me about, is it true that this administration got rid of, or they said rid of Martin Luther King Day and Juneteenth? No, that's not what happened. What happened was they're on holidays, and every year they pick a set of holidays that you can get into national parks fee-free. So you can get in for free at these national parks all over the United States on particular holidays. Last year, and I believe years prior, Martin Luther King Day was one of those holidays you could get into a national park for free. And then recently they added Juneteenth to that list of holidays you can get in to the national parks for free. Well, the upcoming 2026 list does not include those 2 days. Instead, they have replaced it with a lot of president holidays, president birthdays, and I believe Flag Day, which happens to also be DJT's birthday. So that's the real of that. So it wasn't that he got rid of those holidays. You cannot get into the state or the national parks on those days for free anymore. So that's what happened with that. Now, my question to both of you gentlemen is, how important do you think it is for schools to continue to teach Black history, Indigenous history, or even for the J people, the HCOS? How important is that still, or is it actually causing more division than not?
Who do you want to go first?
You.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think it's really important to make sure that we're like bringing these topics up in a way that is appropriate for all of these different ages. I don't think that removing it from the book is a good idea. And actually, what I've just discovered recently is that there is a group that owns all of the prisons, and they own or not all the prisons. They own all of the ways you call out of the prisons. And that same group has just purchased McGraw, which is the textbook companies that deliver to all the schools. And they found that by 3rd grade, they can like identify if you have like a low reading level, that they're going to be able to build a prison there for you. And you'll probably go into it based already on 3rd grade. So the people that own all of the systems that call out of prisons, which apparently you can't go and have free visitation anymore, they now own the textbooks. So I think that it's really important to look through these books and possibly reconsider our contracts with who our textbook providers are, because that sounds like a serious and the person it is it's Ghislaine Maxwell, that lady. It's her father. He's the one that's doing all this. So this is really concerning to me, and I'd like to look more into this and see if we need to be re-looking at our textbook contracts, because I know my textbooks were McGraw, and so that needs to be addressed. Also, yeah, we need to be addressing all these things, and yeah, we can be doing them at age appropriate levels. Like I know, like when I was in college, that's when I read Frederick Douglass's like autobiography, and his like, and we also read like a picture version of it, which was traumatic. And so with that, something I'm looking into is can we add 2 years to high school? Because the reality is we keep moving up the retirement age, and we say we're living longer, we're retiring later, but we haven't extended childhood at all. And I feel like that isn't really fair. You're extending the amount of time people have to work in order to retire, and you're not extending the childhood with respect to how much older we're getting. And the fact is, there's just so much information, and I think things like the computer science need to be taught in the school too. So with that, yes, then I think in those last 2 years of high school, especially if we can add those, then we can get into the real graphic realities. These are the real, like, I mean, never like lying or misleading people, but I mean, yeah, like
Okay,
maintaining
but
things how
my
they are. Like,
question, George, my question is more like, should African American history be a separate thing, or should it be included in American history? Like, is there a need to have a separate curriculum or course for that?
No.
Or should it somehow, over time be integrated into just what we talk about when we talk about America?
I think it should be integrated, yeah. And that comes by looking at who these textbook providers are, because they're deciding whose names are in there highlighted, right? Because we always have the bolded names in our textbook. And I mean, they could just add a paragraph about people, in any given chapter. And so I think it should be integrated into our regular history. It is American history. And that comes by deciding who's writing our books.
So what do you think, Jess?
I agree. It's the same thing. It should be integrated. It's American history at that point, right? It doesn't matter if it's Black or Indigenous or, as you mentioned, it could be for Holocaust. I mean, there are so many. The Pacific Asian Islanders that we've internment camped as well. All of those things should be absolutely represented, and definitely more accurately, right? Like we know our history books for schools are whitewashed. We know that they're very gentrified, right? Like they tell the best parts about America so that when you leave school, you think America is the best place in the world and not this place where people have had to struggle for their lives. It basically teaches children to go out there and expect the world to like pat them on the back and tell them to come along, when you realize that might only be for white children, because they're the only ones that really think that the history is like that, because everybody else that didn't get trained on history doesn't understand why the world has been so bad to them while they were kids. And then when they get released as adults, untrained, unprepared for what the actual history of America was, they have to suffer through a long and tedious and grueling life sometimes. And if we taught people what America was like before, it would have people leave high school in a mindset ready to deal with what we got to keep doing to improve America.
Absolutely. I'm one to think that while there should be some sort of integration of it, I still think that there needs to be a well, I was going to say a separate course, but I guess if you wanted to dive more deep into that, it probably would be within the higher learning.
Yeah, in college you could specify, right? Like, but if you're never told about it in high school, if you don't even get a glimmer into Black history, right? Like, then you wouldn't know to go and study it deeper because you didn't have any context for it, right? Like,
Right.
There is a lot of hurt and pain there, but there's so much like amazing creations and inventions and discoveries from that too, right? Like there's so much good, and we get sound bites, right? Like you get sound bites of a few good things of those things, and maybe a very whitewashed version of the hard times of that. They weren't that hard. Of course they were hard.
Yeah.
We just don't want anybody to know that they were hard, which is depressing.
I think there are like smaller ways that you could integrate like separate ideas. Like I know I was in a activist call once, and we kind of did like a timeline of labor and like all the different steps that happened in labor over the decades. And there is a timeline of Black American history over like what was being experienced and how it was addressed and like who was doing that. So like that's something you could do in high school is like, all right, this week or even just this day, we're going to do the timeline. Everyone like go through the timeline. We're gonna build it maybe even as a class or something. I don't know how at the top level you would integrate down to lesson plans specifically, but that's something that could be looked at. And then another thing that I actually didn't learn about the H cost was that gay people were detained too. And when the Americans came and freed everybody, they left the gay people in prison. And they stayed in prison for I don't even know until when. So that's something that I didn't even learn that in college because I mean none of my classes covered that in college.
Well, I was today years old when I just learned that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So the Americans have been, they are their own form of problematic. And I think it's also important to address, like, I just made a video recently about how it was like 1929 when San Francisco started using the gas chamber first, and it was 1931 when the mustache people first used a gas chamber. So I think it's important to address like America has its own flaws, and guess what? And then in 1942, San Francisco had to buy gas masks for all of their citizens because the air was so poisonous. So I think it's important to address these timelines and say, hey, I mean, I don't know if you could teach people that karma is real, but I mean, it kind of looks like it, and it kind of looks like it's important to address like we did these bad things and they came and they copied us on a larger scale. But they'd obviously, I mean, I don't know how you really, when they're children, I don't know what age you can really tell them, yeah, America did this, but I think it should be addressed at some point.
Absolutely. So I got two more subjects. I'm going to go on the next one, especially since it's two Californians here. One of the things that the Civil War was about, and it was about many things. We know what the main thing was, but it was about many things. One of them was about them succeeding. The South wanted to succeed from the North. And if they succeeded at that, we would not be the great 50 state union that we are today. There's been a lot of talk about California succeeding. How do you two feel about that? Do you think that it's a wise idea? Do you think that if it happened, how would that look? And what would be the outcome? I mean, like, how do you think that the outcome of that will be? So go ahead, Jesse.
I think secession is on the table still. I don't say that lightly, so I start with it because I think it is an option that's on the table. But it should be like a last resort. Pulling California out of the United States would be fine for California. It would hurt the United States a lot. And that's not something I'm ready to pull the trigger on right away as a governor running, or as a person running for governor of the state of California. I think it absolutely needs to be there as an option. If things get continually worse, California absolutely should make sure it takes care of Californians. I think a large reason that we are as expensive as we are is because we pay into a federal government that does not give back what it's supposed to this state, the state that is providing the most for the rest of the states. And there's a lot of good states out there that are doing their job too. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying California is doing more than it should be for the United States, and the United States is not doing what it should be for not just us, but a lot of the rest of the states. So yes, I think with proper discussion in a circumstance where there was no other direction that was going to make the people of this state be successful, then yes, secession's absolutely on the table.
And
how would I go about doing that?
Right. Like, I mean, like, yeah, right. So you all would create, well, I guess you all have your own constitution already.
We do.
And so you would just be
well, I mean,
a
realistically,
land of in the North America.
Yes and no. I mean, the issue with just saying something as easy as seceding from the Union sounds like that should be something that is just a legal function. But at this point, I don't think that's where we're at. I think that's going to draw combat. I think that's going to, right? Like, I mean, California was its own country before this. George knows I've told this story before. For about 30 days, California was its own country. And then the United States came in and said, hey, no, you're going to be part of us. Thanks for playing the game. And that's as long as it lasted, was about a month. So there would be a lot of concerns and a lot of other things that would have to be in place with our own National Guard, with a lot of the California counties, because California is humongous, right? Like seceding from the Union, saying that the governor's deciding that doesn't mean that everybody's going to agree. Right? Like there are going to be parts of California that might say, well, we're seceding from California then. So I think there's... what
if Oregon and Washington and maybe even Nevada
want to come with?
To go with you? It would be a little easier?
It definitely would be a little easier because, again, you wouldn't be taking the hit for that responsibility level all on your own. You also wouldn't have to put that just on Californians. You could spread that pain and love and new adventure is what I'm going to call the rest of that experience amongst those states. And I'm sure that new government could absolutely work to make a better place. My worry is not the people that would be helping us. It's the people that would be upset that we were withdrawing that money from their bank accounts. Because that's really how you have to look at it, is somebody else is going to go, well, wait, if you do that, I lose money. And I don't want to lose money.
Absolutely. Well, George, what you think? Do you think y'all should succeed, or is it possible?
Well, I mean, so there's a lot of things that go into this, and first, yeah, we do have our own constitution, and I accidentally almost violated it because when I first was running for office, I was just like, oh, I'll just also put my agenda on the ballot, each item, and then I'll put my name in it, and that's illegal. So, oops, I accidentally tried to violate our constitution, but yeah, there's a lot of things that go into this. So, I mean, first of all, what nobody probably knows is that especially if you're not from California, is we already have a political party that's called the California National Party, and their entire agenda is the secession of our state. So we have like an active group that's never stopped, and they've always been here, and they've always been trying to secede. And the reality is we basically have seceded already. We've already left. We don't require anything from America besides the military. We've set up our own California bank. We set up our own EPA. We have our own I can't say the word, prescription investigation things, like pretty much every service. We have our own version of education standards that was designed, that was integrated from the national version, but we had our own professionals look at that and decide how Common Core should be. And so the reality is there's really nothing the only thing that America provides to us is the military. And so that is the only thing. And that is why you really can't secede fully in a hard secession, right, where we're leaving, because we have these military bases all around, and they're not filled with Californians, because military people are moved all around the nation and the world at any given moment, and they never stay anywhere for long. So while we do have the largest number of military veterans, we have about 1.2 to 1.8 million veterans from the military here in the state. I don't know how old they all are. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We can't do a hard secession, right? We can't just be like, we're leaving because the military would attack. And We don't. I mean, we have the National Guard, but I'm not really sure. I mean, they're just not the same level, right? They're not the same level, and we don't have the big ones, the big things that would be very dangerous for us. So that's kind of the reality. And I mean, so the reality is, I mean, no offense to everyone else, but the rest of America is kind of just a leech on California at this point. It's taking money, and if we had that money, we would have universal health care, and maybe we'd have our own things. But all these other programs that America provides, we are already doing it for ourselves because we don't believe in the standards that this nation has set. We said that we have higher standards. And that's why I'm always telling people you should come to California because we have higher standards for your health and your safety. But that's called a soft secession. So we've already done that. And just like you said with these other states, that was one of the most recent things we did is we set up with Oregon and Arizona and a few other states, I think, this new to replace the health organization. Do you remember that? Did anyone hear about that? When Donald Trump would defunded some health regulation organization, we said, well, we're going to make our own, and we'll tell you when things are dangerous and sicknesses are around. So I mean, we've already softly seceded. Everything that we do is based on what we want to do, and not what the federal government tells us to do.
You talking about who?
Yeah.
WHO.
Something like that. Yeah, I think it was who. And so we said, fine, we're gonna take the responsibility of letting you know when there is a danger to your health, and we'll do that for you. So I mean, we've kind of already done it, and it's really just, well, we give you a lot of money, and I don't think that's bad because I want everyone to have a healthy, successful life and be safe, and no matter where you are. So I'm not saying that it's like, oh, we should stop giving you money, but I'm saying that we've basically done everything about secession besides having military.
I'm from the DC area. Okay. We don't even have representation. I mean, we don't even have a voice in this thing for real. So I get it. It's that soft secession, like you said, it's kind of already happened. Y'all are definitely not dependent on the government. But we would hate to lose you. Y'all are cousins. We don't want to lose our family. Okay, we don't want to lose our family.
It's hard because we're the length of Europe. We're the size of a nation, and people want high-speed rail, and people want universal health care, but so much tax money is taken by the federal government, and the federal government is not providing that. Right. And it's like, if all of that tax money was just coming to California, we'd have high-speed rail. We've had universal health care, but we can't afford it with the budget we have because half of our money or more is going to the federal government. So that's what makes it hard. The federal government is not putting out what services we require. All of us require these things, not just Californians. We all need these things. And it's just really, and that's what makes it disappointing, the feds.
Absolutely. So my last question that I have before we wrap this up. Unity.
That's a good word.
Is it possible? I feel like today in 2025, this country is about at its most divided. If people say it's at the most, I don't agree with that. If you know the history of the United States, this is not the most divided we've ever been, okay? However, I feel like the division between the politics is probably at one of its highest points. I've never had to identify as a Democrat so much in all my 48 years. I just voted that way. I didn't consider myself one. Like there wasn't a label I walked around here with. And now it's like, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're a MAGA, you're a liberal, and it's like, wait a minute, can I just be an American that thinks a certain way?
Right.
So my question is, I'm not putting much stock in the current administration to do this. I actually happened to go back and listen to Ms. Harris's concession speech. And even in the concession speech, she was very much so like, look, we're going to be okay. We can come together. We can continue to fight for this nation together. Your neighbor, da 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 da. Like, just camaraderie and just trying to, keep people together, right? And in contrast, we have someone in the Oval Office that decided to speak at a funeral or a memorial stating that he don't want nothing good for us on the left. So with that being what's at the helm right now, how likely is it that we can get back to some sort of unity like we saw during 9/11? Because that I remember that. I was also alive and well and an adult, and saw the unity that we had. I mean, it was American flags everywhere. It didn't matter what you look like. We just was like, we're Americans and we're not going to stand for this foreign invasion, right? How can we get back to that? Is that possible? Is it going to be possible after these next 3 years? Is it never possible again after what has been exposed for us? Like, is there a possibility that we can get some unity happening amongst the American citizens again? George.
Yeah, so I mean, I think so. I think the reality is most people, like, I mean, I don't know, but well, the people, there was a whole group of people that voted for Trump that called themselves MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, and they really expected delivery on becoming healthy. And I think, like, the way that I see it is we are in the middle of a 9/11 event. The plastic and the PFAS, it's poisoning us. It's making people infertile. It's giving us cancer. It's giving people Alzheimer's. We are being attacked. Every single person in this nation is being attacked. And I think that we all need to unite around fixing that problem by finding the people doing it, putting them on trial for this crazy thing that they're doing, and then working all together to get this crap out of our soil. Because just like in South America, they have the lead in their soil, we have these pesticides and this PFAS in ours. And it rains plastic. It literally rains plastic. And so we all need to be doing our part to be figuring out how to fix this, whether you're a scientist and you want to invent some new material that's not dangerous, or if you're just a person that's shopping at the grocery store and you're going to make a choice to buy something that's the glass version or the non-packaged version. Like, there's so many things we could do. Or you're an activist and you want to fight against these politicians that are not addressing this issue that is a serious health issue. Because the reality is I mean, I just heard about someone in Texas who was detained for having a miscarriage. Well, the PFAS and the plastic, it gives us miscarriages. Like, this is all connected. So Donald Trump came out here and he said, oh, I'm pro-plastic. Plastic is open in America. We're going to produce more plastic here. And then in the second or third week, he deregulated all of the PFAS dumping into our rivers, where people drink the water, where people's water companies don't have the tools to get the PFAS out of the water. So, and then all of a sudden now they're charging people for the consequences of having PFAS in their body, and they're putting them in prison.
So you saying I shouldn't be happy that he brought back plastic straws?
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It sucked.
That was my favorite part. That was the only thing I think he did good.
I know, and it was him, and that's what and everyone thought that, and it's in plastic,
and it's not.
It's dangerous, and that's why the way I see unity is the Republicans. The Republicans have been fascists since the 90s. The first step of fascism is to convince you that science is not real. And they've been doing that with climate change since the 90s, since before Al Gore. And so to me, unity does not mean that the Democrats and the Republicans are coming together. Unity to me means that we're all going to wake up and realize that we don't want our neighbor to be poisoned and we need to get rid of these Republicans once and for all. And it's not just all becoming Democrats. It's like we all need to be exactly who we are, and we don't need maybe a name. Maybe we're going to start our own party or we're going to do this. But unity is we are different, but we don't want to die. Oh, excuse, unalive. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
And we all want to live, and we all want to live together. And that to me is what the unity is. It's not about parties, because I mean, anything that validates these Republicans is a health threat to the planet. Is the way I see it. And I think we can convince the people that vote Republican, look at this evidence. This is what's happening, and I think most people are like, wow, that's actually crazy, and that's what I see when I talk to people on the doorstep.
Okay. What do you think, Miss Albertini?
I would say I hope unity is possible in the future. I think running this race has been an eye-opening experience for me in the sense that I've gotten to interact with a lot more people than I normally would. I have constantly referenced my life as being in a bubble before I started this race, and then I started to read stuff more frequently about stuff that was not of interest to me, but it was of interest to being alive and interacting in the world, right? Like starting reading news as opposed to fantasy novels or the newest sci-fi book, right? And that made me get really scared, which is why I ran, right? Like I'm scared because I don't think there's any unity. I think money has corporately bought out the world, and they're just waiting for the people like me and you and George to fade away or to be dragged off by somebody, or, you know, to go our way so that the rest of the populace just kind of keeps living in the machine. But that fear has gone away because I've talked to a lot of people who really want to fix things, which is fantastic. So that's given me enough hope to feel like unity can come back. I've done live streams at the Downtown Detention Center in Los Angeles. I do them as many Friday nights as I can, and I drop off snacks there to the people that are protesting all week long, and I do it live. Now I've had MAGA show up in my streams a bunch of times, and usually, you know, they're a little harassing and a little taunting and a little presumptions that I'm a Democrat, and we get conversations going because I let them stay. I let them protest me protesting because they think that that's fun for them, and I point out that that's them using their First Amendment rights. But I've had two, one this last Friday and one about 2 months before, troll me in the chat a little bit and then say, you know, well, I'm going to head down there. The first time it happened, the person headed down there. They did get out of their car. They parked, they came over and they shook my hand. They said, hey, I'm really sorry. I was kind of being a troll because, you know, it's online and it's chatty. He goes, but you're doing a decent thing by being out here and supporting, and I hope you have a good night. And went away, right? Like he was going to go out now. And I had a trucker who harassed me for at least an hour last night in the chat, then do a drive-by, not to shoot, but to beep the horn and honk at me. And again, I think once they see that I'm not spewing everything that they think that they're supposed to believe in because they're on that side of the fence, and I listen and I talk about being reasonable about topics, kind of like we were talking about ICE. I don't think ICE should be abolished. I think ICE should be back under control and used for what it was created for, which was a real purpose. I think if we can get people to try to come back to the middle a little bit, step off their big platforms and their bright colors and the loud music that they're getting, and just come back to the middle where it's reasonable, I think we can get to a point where we're unified again. I'm very hopeful of it. That's the best I can get. Yeah, fingers crossed. I think there's a lot of real people out there, and I think if we can beat money, honestly, that's really the end, right? Like if it can stop being just about the money and more about the people again, I think unity will come regularly, very naturally.
I totally agree. I think that the talking helps. It literally helps people realize, like, we're not so far apart that they make us believe. I often ask people on the right, how did we get this label that we are for ABs? How did where did y'all, like, who said telling a woman that she has the right to make that decision is not the same as lining people up and making them get rid of their babies.
Right.
That's two different things. And yet somehow that's how the message got translated, that we're just lining people up and saying, go get rid of all the babies. Not at all. So I like I said, I still have not figured out, and even I would say even for the right side, they get labeled with being racist, right? And we know all people on the right are not.
Right.
It's quite a bit, but we know that they're all not, and yet because that's how you align, or your your ideology, or that's the side you on, you get labeled with that. So I don't know. Once we start with the labeling, or um, and we get real about what's the real issues, what's the real function of the government, then maybe we can come to some unity. So I want to end with that. How do you feel? What do you feel is the function of the governments, whether it's a local, a state, or federal? What is the actual in? And I don't. We could talk about it all day. I want you
Right.
to try to condense it to someone you have to explain it. A 5-year-old you have to explain this to in 1 minute. That you say this is what government is in the United States. Go, Mr. Jesse. He gonna go first, and I'm gonna end with you,
Okay.
George.
I would say the government is an organization that's created by the people to keep those people safe, protected, and healthy, and able to live their lives to the best of its capability by existing. So that government exists only to do those things for those people.
Okay.
Small package.
So no laws. Well, I guess the laws
The laws
will help you be
come to make
safe.
you safe, right? Like we
Okay.
have seatbelt laws because the seatbelts make you safe.
Understood. What about you, George? How do you sum that up?
That's basically my summary. But I'd first like to remind us that a corporation's job is to serve their shareholders, right? And so, really, the government's job is to protect us from the shareholders, to protect us from them, because their financial interests are not the same as the interests of our health. And so, but basically, it's the same definition. Their job is to protect the American people, and whatever that looks like, whether that means that people are going hungry or they're getting sick, their job is to protect the American people in whatever way they need to be protected.
Absolutely. And we do we need to invest more money into it, or just reallocate the money?
I think reallocation is definitely the need, right? Like we know they take enough money now. We know we could end homelessness. We know we could end the medical issues if we spent some of our military money, some of the money we spend on other countries was just put back into this country. I mean,
Yeah.
we could try it. We could try it for just 1-2 years and see if it gets better. I mean, it would prove their point if it doesn't go well, right?
Right. It would. What you think, George? Do we need more money in government?
I think part of it is just regulating and passing laws that say what is and is not allowed. And that doesn't even require money. That's just not from the government. I mean, it might cost the companies more money. But I think, that's the main purpose of the government is to create laws so that the society functions in a way that is safe and functional, really, because it's kind of dysfunctional right now. And then we might need to reallocate some funds. I mean, maybe if part of that protection is healthcare, I mean, it could require more money if they want universal free at the point of service healthcare. Something like that could require some more money. But I think the majority of the problems would be solved if we just regulated, because the companies are making us sick because that makes them money because they have multiple investments in the hospitals and the pharmacies and the businesses that they put stuff. So if we just regulate them, then a lot of our costs as Americans would just go down because we wouldn't have so many problems with just regulation.
Agreed. So you two gentlemen are both running to be the head of government in California. Have either one of you put together a proposal or a plan on how you will allocate the monies that Californians give to your government? Have either one of you done that yet?
You mean
Be
like
honest.
write new tax forms? It sounds like what you're asking.
I don't know. I'm not running for governor. I don't know what you got to do. I just know
Oh,
that a lot of money comes into the government and then it has to be dispersed. That's all I know. So have you put together a plan how you actually want this money allocated and dispersed throughout your state?
no. No, my entire goal, because I work for this state currently in a governmental office, I know that I'd need to see the actual numbers, not be told what the numbers are, not see what the numbers are online, actually go in and go through files and yeah. So like my first year is going to be spent on like real cleanup and who's actually working and who's not working. Um, but past that, I mean, I know George has platform ideas to spend money on, and so do I, or to save money on, right? Like for the Californians, I've got a couple of platform proposals to reduce costs for Californians without increasing taxes. But no, I don't have any written plans on how I'm going to spend the state's money yet, because I want to see what we're actually doing with the state monies in a legit format with actual budget sheets and know who's been doing what with what.
Good answer. What about you, George?
Yeah, I have not written our budget because, yeah, same as Jesse. When you go online and you look at the budget, you can't see the itemized costs. So you can't just be like, well, I'm going to cut, $5 billion from this thing because you don't know, you can't figure out what the itemized things are from those $5 billion. But the first thing I did do was I wrote a number of spending bond measures, because the way I kind of figured it is I'm an independent and the Democrats are going to do everything they can to make me fail, because at the end of the day, the two-party system works harder to preserve the two-party system than it does to protect the people. So the way I kind of figured it was I need to come in here and I need to get some bonds that I can get voted on, because I can call a special election as governor, voted on by the American people that say, okay, we're going to get this big lump of some money and we're going to take out this loan basically, and we're going to build these projects because this is what we need to function. And part of those is like the public hospitals, because we have like a hospital bed shortage. Like we need more hospitals. It's not a question. Do we need more hospitals? If there's an actual pandemic with like 50% threat, we would be in horrible danger. And so like it's not so that was kind of my come at it, is like I'm just going to get these bonds, and because they're expensive and it's a loan, but the people are going to but it's going to draw people to this state and make them want to come here and have jobs because it's such a better system. So that was kind of my perspective on it, because we do write the budget. As governor, we write the budget and then the legislature approves it. But I just foresee lots of problems dealing with the Democrats because of not being a Democrat.
Right. Well, I in my naivete mind, I was thinking like if I decided to run for governor somewhere, I probably would go in with, let's say, I have $100 million budget, and I want this percentage to go to healthcare, this percentage to go to public safety, this percentage to go to education, this percentage to go. Now, whatever that, like I said, once I get in there, whatever that number is, I still have my percentages of where I want this money to go. So that's kind of more what I was kind of asking, but I understand y'all. Like I said, I'm not running. I don't know. So I'm going to follow y'all lead. But let me welcome in. Go ahead, George.
It's like $300 billion. Like I know the amounts of money and I know how much money we're spending on everything, but it's like I don't want to spend so much money on courts. But I mean, we need to pass other legislation to deal with that. Like we shouldn't be having courts where it takes 3 years to get to trial. That's insane. So that sounds like we need to spend more money, but the reality is we probably need to be getting people not getting charged with these crimes in the first place, or doing them in some other manner. And then
So
also,
that means putting more money into prevention.
Exactly. And then also, I'm interested personally in a wealth tax. And so I don't know, I haven't calculated, how much we can actually, I don't know how much all the money people have, but I do want a wealth tax for people that are over a certain amount of income, like over 100 million. And then that money would be used to see how much money you have from there. Because I mean, you say you want like, oh, well, we're going to get like 25% for healthcare, but people in our state want healthcare for all. And that costs $300 billion. And that's our entire budget. So it's you could have an idea of like, well, this proportion should be what it's used for, but when people want policies and certain systems, and they have costs that are established, and that's what makes it kind of tricky. It's more about like how can you get more money from people in creative ways that are not regressive but progressive, so that poor people don't suffer.
Understood. Well, we have a constituent in the comments who said they would like a cap on rent and make housing more affordable. Okay, so put
Yep.
that in y'all notes. It's a California resident says she want a cap on rent and she want to make housing more affordable. Mr. J Morris, welcome, welcome,
Hello.
welcome. You came up. We about to be closing out soon, but I'm gonna stick around a little while to speak to you. Can you remind us what you're running for and what state?
I'm running for the state house in the state of Georgia.
In the state of Georgia. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you've been listening to the conversation. Was there anything that you wanted to that stuck out to you, wanted to speak up on, or did you want a new question posed to you?
Uh, Mainly the budget was really the thing that really stood out to me. And I know we live in like different states, so the California budget is going to be totally different from the state of Georgia budget. But
Mm-hmm.
in our constitution, the state legislature have to balance the budget, non-negotiable. Um, so that is where we also have to realize that the state of Georgia do have a $16 billion surplus. We also take $63 billion from the federal government. On top of that, we have $83 billion within revenue. And we're still lagging behind on a lot of things like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Just the other day, it was raining here, and I witnessed, well, I've seen personally, that my storm drainage system that sits on the corner of the road is blocked, and that is a safety hazard. Earlier of this year, we witnessed in Texas, what happened if you don't fix the infrastructure before Mother Nature come knocking on the door. And that's one thing we should be considering in every single state budget is natural disasters because we don't know what state is going to get hit by it. And then on top of that, America, we have a volcano that is active, and we should be prepared just in case this volcano do go off. And that's one thing that each and every state should be preparing for. But now we're witnessing um, that they're not. And the prime example is broken infrastructure um, and not having the resources uh, to combat that, and that needs to be addressed within our budget um, across state lines.
That's true. That's true. You said we have a volcano.
Yeah, it's Mount something. I gotta look up the name. It might not be active, but from what the scientist says, it might be getting active. It sits between,
It's in
th- mm,
Washington.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. But you think that would affect anyone other than people in the state of Washington?
Yes, I do believe that it will damage the water supply in that
Mm,
surrounding area.
okay. I hadn't thought about that. How a volcano erupting could impact anyone other than the people in the immediate surrounding area.
Mhm.
But like you said, it could go into the water and affect the water supply.
Yeah,
Period.
sulfuric acid, which is like
Hmm.
your acid rain stuff, that type of water. Um, and I think we should actively say, hey, let's just put some money aside. Because you have states that also deal with hurricanes that we've seen countless times that's not ready for it. Look at Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. When they get hit by your major hurricanes, they're not ready for that. And then they rely heavily on the federal government. And what if we get a president in the future that's like, you know what, since you didn't vote for me and so election, I'm a Democrat, I ain't gonna give you anything. Or vice versa, where it's like, oh, if you don't lean Republican, I'm not gonna send you anything. I don't think that when it comes down to natural disasters, states should be relying on the federal government because politics is going to be politics. We should be able to rely on what we have in store on hand. Like that's putting money aside in our budget, saying, hey, wildfires in California, let's go into the reserves that we set aside. Flash flood in Texas, let's go into the money that we're supposed to put aside. Same thing with
Mhm.
Georgia and the other low-lying states where we actively see climate change picking up and heating up our climate. So we just have to start adapting to the changes that the earth is going through. So
Jay, do you know what the current makeup of parties in the Georgia state uh government, the
yes,
House, the Congress?
yes.
Hmm.
For my state legislature, uh, it's a super majority of Republican leadership, and the Democrats don't have a lot of say so. So you see more Republican controlled bills than bipartisanship controlled bills. Little
Mm-hmm.
to none you will actively see Democrat controlled bills. So any of the bills that you hear from the state of Georgia, like the Life Act that so-called ban ABs at the 6 week mark to the actions of the current tax system is controlled by the Republican Party here. Then you get the education system where we sit 21 in the national ranking. Then you get infrastructure where we sit, top, I believe 22nd in. So you get all those things make up by the majority party. And so right now you actively see a movement through the state of Georgia where Democrats across the state is running for office and actually winning, where we seen in 2025 that a young man by the name of Art Barley won his seat for state legislature. Then you also get the two seats that we flipped for the public service commissioners that can actually control the bills here in Georgia when it comes down to your energy bills. That's step one of getting affordability in the state of Georgia.
Let me someone in the comments posed a question to you. And I just
Mm,
want to respond to that question. The question was, Jay, how will you end the gentrification? And Mr. Henry, I want to tell you that that responsibility is on you, sir. Because as he just said, the legislator in the legislation in the legislator in Georgia is Republican led, super Republican led. So him as a Democrat in that house don't have much say so, don't
mhm.
have much pull to create the policies that will end the gentrification. So that's it's your job, Mr. Henry, to vote in more people like Jay that can actually have a say so in the laws and the policies of Georgia that will end gentrification.
And to piggyback off what you said, I can introduce a bill to regulate or end that entirely, but they're not going to sit here and vote for it. Like my thing is this, I hate gerrymandering. I hate it with a passion. And that's one of the way that we can also say that justification across this nation. I am a huge man that I've said we should give it to a nonpartisan committee to redraw all our districts. However, it's not going to happen because you have power hungry individuals that is not going to let that pass. Um, and then in my conclusion, it's going to take more than one person. Like I'm going to be one out of 179 individuals. I'm sorry, I have to work with 179 other individuals to get something done. Um, my current platform that I'm running on is more progressive on a if you actually think about it on a state level, that both moderates and right-leaning individuals won't get behind. Georgia operates on a flat tax system that I want to go in and overturn entirely and put a more of a progressive tax system that actively take that load off of hardworking people. And I know for sure that's not going to get done within my first term, but it will get through either chamber. And that's the goal, is to actively look at what can we do to get done so that people can actively know that the opposite side of the aisle is not willing to work with me. So then we all have to come together as a collective to find a candidate to actively take the seats so that we can get something done. So that's my
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah. Mr. Jesse or George, are y'all aware of the makeup, the party makeup in your legislature in California?
Currently mostly Democrat.
Okay.
What I'm really concerned about with our legislature is I just went through all the websites of every single one of them that are running for office, and frankly, almost none of them have a single thing to say. Their websites say my story, listen to my story about me, and there's no policy, there's no meat. There's maybe like 10 to 15 people with real policy objectives, and so that's what I'm really concerned with, and it really kind of explains a lot. Like Jay sounds like a really smart guy, and I'm like, I wish we had more people like Jay over here in California, or I can convince more people to run, because yeah, because these are the people that then run for Congress, right? So they run off of a platform of nothing, and then they absorb the talking points of their party, and then they get sent to the federal government to be servants of their party. And so Jay, with his original ideas, like that's something we need more of in all of the states.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why we also have Platform J, and that's exactly what we came from his town hall thinking, and same thing, that he has lots of fresh ideas. And if and as I've said to Mr. Henry, that it's up to us. It is up to us to put in people who have fresh new ideas, who have coherent ideas, who have common sense ideas. I know they have commandeered that term, but I'm going to take it back. Okay, because common sense is just what it is. It's common sense. Okay, it's not what you make up to be common sense. Common sense is common sense, which means that A plus B equals C. That's common sense. Okay, so if we do our due diligence, as he said, he has 180 people in the legislature of Georgia. If we make 150 of them people, because we have the vote, if we put 150 of them people that is on the same agenda of making sure everyone gets a fair shot, gentrification doesn't happen, gerrymandering doesn't happen. If all 150 people are on that same agenda, what you think gonna happen?
Yep.
We get it
We
done.
probably won't have these problems.
Hmm.
That's what I have to say to that. So we're gonna roll this on up. It has been an absolute pleasure to speak to each and every one of y'all. I am wishing the best. And now you too. I'm not a Californian, and I'm not gonna tell you if I was who I vote for. I'm not gonna tell you, but I can't vote for you both. Okay, I cannot, and everybody else cannot. So one of y'all are gonna have to thank the other one for their
Yes.
for their participation in this race. But I still, either way, I think if California gets either one of you gentlemen, they are going to be in good hands. And Jay, of course, as I said, I think you're an absolutely smart guy. Like I said, your youth will not only be what's needed, it will give you time to really make the changes necessary in your lifetime. So I want each of you to leave us with a thought. Tell people how they can support you, and if you have any dates you like to put out there, that works too. So I'm going to start with Mr. Jesse. What would you like to say to the people?
We are very close to starting signatures in lieu. For anybody that doesn't know what that means, signatures in place of the money to run for governor. It costs about $4,500 to run for governor. We have a campaign account going, but since we're not taking any PAC funding, it's going to be a push for us to make some of that. So we are looking for signatures from the 19th of December all the way until February 3rd. We need about 7,000 of them. So that's our big push. We have a website, albertiforgovernor.com. You can go there and volunteer. We have a donation page up. I don't really ask for money, but you can absolutely volunteer for campaigning, and we've got some events coming up to push those signatures. So that's us.
What would you like to say?
I just like to say, thank you so much, everyone, for having us, and anyone that's in this call. Especially if you've been here the whole time and you've been listening and stuff, you should think about running for office and really think about looking into these other third parties. And here in California, we have a Peace and Freedom Party, which was originally the Black Panthers, and then we have Green Party. These are our official parties, but there's so many more. There's Forward, there's Working Families. There's so many parties, and if you could find those in your state, whatever they are, and support those parties and consider running for office on their ticket, and we can get more diversity in our legislatures and our Congress. That's what we need. We need people like you that are willing to listen and be involved, to run for office and yeah, get involved. So thanks a lot again, and I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for that. Jay, what would you like to leave with the people?
I want to start off by saying happy holidays. New Year's is coming up, which means the official campaign season is coming up. So hopefully you guys are ready for those annoying ads on your television about people running for Congress, governor, lieutenant governor. Trust me, it's going to be annoying. But, welcome to America. Um, but I have 162 days before my primary. So this is some of the things we need. We need your voice, your time, and just $5. A little bit of $5. You can donate that to the donation link will be on the jmorrisforgeorgia.com website, which is also in my link in bio. Also, I want you guys to be aware of your surroundings as well. Make sure you guys are being safe when you are traveling and everything like that. And just keep your eyes alert and make sure that people around you are fine and that they are okay. And if you know anyone that might be an immigrant or might be in harm's way of any kind, keep checking up on them. Make sure friends, family members are fine. We are getting into a time that is unprecedented, and most importantly, our safety is top right now. Is top concern for everyone. And lastly, people register to vote. There's nothing with knocking on your door and be like, hey, you registered to vote? Come on, get registered to vote with me. Um, I want to see um, a Stacey Abrams in every last one of you guys' state. So if you can be that new Stacey Abrams that actively pull people out and get those people out to vote, that would be fantastic. Remember, we have 162 days here in Georgia before the primary. Get registered, get out, and let's have fun. Because a campaign cannot be a campaign without the fun times in it. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you all you gentlemen for joining me today and joining Our Vote Counts. Like I said, this has been an absolute pleasure. We will be doing this again. Not next Sunday, the following Sunday. What is that date? Help me out, OVC. Give me my give me my cues here. With the following Sunday, we will be doing another roundtable. And just like today, we invited a few people. They may or may not have been able to get free to do so. So we will continue to always look for you candidates that, to come up. Come through, come up, join the conversation the 21st. Thank you, Ms. Thick Gilly. So again, we will always have the invitation. You always have the invitation to come to the roundtables. We want to hear your voices at all times. Your voice. You are the people who will be making the decisions in our lives if you win your election. So I appreciate you all coming. We do have a town hall for our next candidate, and if you just give me one moment, I'm going to So it's Mr. Bentley Piez, who is running for a state seat in Texas. So we will be having that live, the town hall live Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Tuesday at 4 o'clock. We will be having that town hall live. So no worries. We hope to see you all there. Let me give y'all a reminder who we are. We are OVC. Our vote counts. We are a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure that every vote counts and every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, and accountability, we are building a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. So, Californians, you are being informed now. We're informing you which one of these guys you want. So you're gonna make a great decision, no matter who you pick, in my opinion. But at least you will have the information. Okay? One informed vote at a time. So make sure you join us next Sunday, this Tuesday coming up, because your vote is your power. We will appreciate you. Appreciate seeing you. We appreciate you all showing up. And until next time, y'all make sure y'all enjoy your Sunday, enjoy your week.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Have a good one.